Apparently neo-Nazis are marching through Melbourne 2 hours ago. It's dark in the video. Oh, I suppose it's getting dark at 5-ish. It's winter. Neo-Nazis march through Melbourne, apparently. Yeah, that's bizarre, but anyway. Sounds like a weird sentence.
Evening, 100 neo-Nazis hiding behind black masks have marched through the Bourke Street Mall, spouting hate and threatening violence. Powerless police could do little but follow the white supremacists who've declared Melbourne is becoming the Nazi capital of Australia. Crime reporter Gillian Lantouris.
Melbourne CBD at midnight, mirroring a bygone...
Okay, so that must have been last night. Huh. What the fuck? That's honest, like that's actually just bizarre.
Era. White supremacists take over the Bourke Street Mall, in their own words.
People say that Melbourne is the left-wing capital of Australia. It's becoming the Nazi capital of Australia.
Sadly, Victoria has become the hate state.
One man enjoying a night out had his phone smashed out of his hands.
It's not a peaceful protest at all.
Are Slavs considered white now, or do I need to worry? Honest question. I have green eyes, and my brothers have blonde hair and blue eyes, but I have like really dark hair. That's actually terrifying. I'm an honorary white. Well, yeah, because I'm like 75. I have three Slavic grandparents and an Irish grandparent, and I think all of those aren't considered, you know, the right kind of white. Although people can never pick what ethnicity I am. Whenever I'm in like Europe, people just assume I'm from the country that I'm in. It's very strange, but yeah. Green eyes. I have very pale skin, very, very pale skin and green eyes. But I feel like modern day politics either pushes people really far right or really far left. People have ended up in these online echo chambers, whether it's, you know, one way or the other. People are being radicalized, and it's just really... The guy speaking in front of the Aussie flag was Joel Davis. Don't know, I guess I'll watch the video.
While a 26-year-old was taken to the Royal Melbourne Hospital after spitting at the masked men before he was bashed.
I had an English backpacker. He came up to me. He's like, "Oh, you know, it's my first night out here. Is it normal for there to be Nazis walking around?"
Police
Nah.
following the crowd through the heart of the city. The far-right group posting this video shortly after.
The police.
I wonder how many of their granddads and their great-granddads like fought against actual Nazis.
Just have to accept our presence. They just simply have to accept the fact that we want to march and that we will march.
To see last night, police pretty much having to chaperone the protesters because they can't arrest them. What's that about?
The group is spearheaded by neo-Nazi Thomas Sewell. They spent the night at the Phoenix Caravan Park in...
Well, if they didn't break any laws, like what are you supposed to arrest them for? Like that's the thing. Like, I guess it falls under, you know, political speech. I mean, we do have implied free speech in Australia. That would be the whole NSN mobilising from across the country to rally in Melbourne. Victoria alone doesn't have that many NSN numbers. Yeah, I'm sure AEST, ACO, the AFP know exactly how many of them there are and exactly where they are. They're probably, half the members are probably feds, to be honest. I wouldn't be surprised if a good number of the people marching were actually feds. They tend to be pretty good at embedding themselves in those type of organisations.
Milan, a journalist and a photographer were allegedly attacked before the group picked up other members in Bacchus Marsh ahead of their national conference, where they were greeted with fierce opposition.
They're not nice people. We let them know that we know that.
The Premier condemning the group. Nazis don't belong in this country and they know it. That's why they hide behind masks in the dark. We're not afraid of these goons, but we will not tolerate them either.
We don't need to wait for another Christchurch to happen in our city to take these growing threats seriously.
While no arrests were made last night, Victoria Police says it respects the right to protest. However, racist, anti-Semitic or hate-based behaviour is not tolerated.
I call on the Premier and the Prime Minister to outlaw any neo-Nazi and white supremacist organisations operating in this country.
Wait, hang on, Hyperbovian. A guy you used to play poker with is in there. But if memory serves, you're not white, Hyperbovian, aren't you? Pacific Islander. I think you said you were Fijian. Did he seem to have like issue with you when you were? I assume you were probably at a mate's poker game or something, or was he cool with you being there? You're Fijian Indian.
They're organising a group of people to target individuals because of their background, and that should be illegal.
You think it's a combination of meth and Facebook? I think most of these people have been radicalized. It's the same as the people that are like so far left that they hate everybody that's, you know, slightly right of like Stalin. It's exactly the same thing. You know, you can agree with them, like you can agree with leftists on like 99% of things, but they'll call you a bigot for the 1% that you think that, you know, that you think is probably going a bit too far or whatever. Yeah, it's really scary how divided Australia has become and how we kind of like imported this very American-esque culture war. I've got mates that vote Liberal. Like, I don't vote Liberal. I was brought up by a staunch unionist, and, you know, I always kind of grew up around, you know, a lot of like CFMEU delegates and a lot of MUA guys, and those were the blokes that like my dad, you know, went to barbecues with, and the guys that I would go fishing with and stuff like that when I was a kid. And you know, so I guess I kind of grew up around that. But like, I've got friends that have completely different political views to me, and, you know, we're just respectful about it, and we just go, all right, dickhead, and then, you know, chuck us another beer. Like, it doesn't have to be that deep. You don't have to let these ideologies consume you and twist you and turn you into some kind of hateful freak. It's just like basically what it comes down to with me and a lot of my friends that, you know, maybe will vote Liberal or maybe vote Nationals because they're from the bush, is they just have different views on fiscal management of, like, you know, they seem to be under the impression that the Liberal Party are better fiscal managers. And like, I don't have time to I'm not going to tell you who to vote for like you're a little baby. You've got Google, you can find out yourself. Like, political discourse has just gone so insane. And it seems to be a global thing. It definitely seems to be a global phenomenon of, like, yeah, a lot of people just don't seem to go out and socialize. There seem to be a lot of young people that don't have any mates and they just stay at home and have their online communities and have all that type of stuff. I say as I'm streaming, but, you know, I have friends. I'm just too sick to hang out with them. That's the issue. But I'm like, I don't allow myself to sit there in the dark on the computer and like seethe and, you know. Yeah, it's definitely, yeah, it's such a weird political climate at the moment.
Gillian Lantouris is at State Parliament. Jill, the Premier says anti-vilification laws are coming.
Yes, Pete, they have passed in Parliament and will come into effect next month, meaning it will be a crime to incite hatred or threaten physical violence against someone just due to their background. But in December last year, the Premier came forward and said she would strengthen protest laws. She wants to abolish wearing face coverings or balaclavas during protests, which would mean police would have more power to arrest people like we saw last night. They all had their face covered, but this was 8 months ago and still...
You think political discourse has shifted because the foundations of liberalism have been undermined so much? Yeah, I know what you mean. I know you mean like liberal as in like the dictionary definition of liberal, not as in like neoliberal, as in the liberal party. Yeah, it's definitely really insane, because I think what used to be considered like, you know, left of center 20 years ago is now considered like centrist or even right of center now. It's I don't know. Yeah, the Overton window's just been smashed. Like, it doesn't make it's, I don't know. It's just very bizarre. Very bizarre.
No change. This hasn't been debated in Parliament yet. The state government says this will be debated by the end of the year, but there's certainly mounting pressure on the state government to act faster. Pete?
Okay, thank you, Gillian Lantouris at State Parliament.
Would I want to see protest laws changed? Well, yeah, I understand. I 100% understand why people feel disenfranchised. People don't have much recourse in the current political climate. Well, I would agree with that. Gina Reinhardt, on the other hand, must be feeling very enfranchised at the moment, and Rupert Murdoch too. Well, yeah, if you've got money, you can essentially do whatever you want. If you make political donations, you know, that's definitely one way to have a lot of sway in politics. That's for sure. Yeah, like even just like potentially 2 or 3 generations not being able to own property ever is there's people that work full-time that are living in parks at the moment. There's a tent in the park across the road from where I live at the moment. Like somebody is sleeping in a tent in winter in Melbourne. And it's even worse like in the CBD. It's insane. It's absolutely insane. And you know, we haven't been building social housing. Supply of housing hasn't been keeping up. We've also been bringing in, you know, a lot of people from overseas on visas, and it's like when, you know, Australians can't find housing, it's just really untenable. Yeah, trying to keep up with cost of living on the way wages are at the moment it's hard out there. Like personally, I'm a social worker, so I don't make bad money by any means. Like I'm not complaining about how much money I make. But for me, it's like, I really am not well enough to be working full time. But the pension, the disability pension, which I would qualify for because of how sick I am. And, you know, it's a long-term permanent disability to have SLE, rheumatoid arthritis. They're both, you know, pretty debilitating diseases. And the disability pension is like $29,000 a year. Like, how am I supposed to keep a roof over my head and feed myself on that? Like, that's scary. Things have just like spiraled out of control. Unironically, recruitment organizations have ruined the labor force in this country, suppressing wages and working with immigration lawyers to scalp jobs to foreigners and get a low rate worker. Well, yeah, like this is the other thing, right? When people start getting resentful about people coming in, you know, people think it's like the whole redneck, like, oh, they're stealing our jobs, but it's got nothing to do with the ethnicity of the people coming and stealing the job. The fact of the matter is, like, a lot of kids were told in high school, like, there's a skill shortage in this field, that field, blah, 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 blah. So kids have studied, they've worked really hard to get into university or get into some type of training to go into a job where there's these supposed shortages. They get out, they accrue all this HEX debt. And HEX has gone up too in a lot of disciplines as well. I think like the only ones that haven't gone up are like STEM degrees, but everything else has like gone up, right? And that, you know, they're told this and that and the other, but instead they bring a bunch of people from overseas. And so there's all these qualified people, you know, having to do menial jobs for minimum wage when, you know, they have degrees, they have first class honors, then they go and get a master's, which costs, you know, $40,000 at a lot of universities, and they go and do that, and they still can't get a job. So now, you know, they've got a good, like $60,000-$70,000 worth of HEX debt, and you know, they're stacking shelves and they're, you know, making coffee and they're pulling beers. SLE is a heck of a thing. Could you imagine what it would be like trying to manage that if I were homeless? Well, yeah, I don't want to imagine what it would be like if I were homeless. Right now, I just do my best to keep it together.